initially I'll give you some time to go through the part revise what we have done in the previous classes. I think COP we have covered, pollutions we have done. So the part that is not covered, we are going to check it. Let me get the syllabus. Just hold on. Okay, so I'll be dictating you what all we have done. So structure is done, functions done, right? Then we have done ecological principles, succession, biodiversity, right? Then we have done human ecological adaptation, right? Then ecosystem management, services done. Next, we have done environmental policy. Let's just keep on checking online students, you too. Biodiversity done. Now today, also we have done the legislation with respect to environment. All the UNFCCC etc. conventions that we have done, those are the legislation. Now, what you have to do is you have to revise all these things. And apart from that, there is a certain topic, for example, EIA, which is environmental impact assessment, which is not of a global one. Basically, it is for the India, right? It has been introduced in India only. Why it has been important, what objectives it's carrying. We'll discuss all of this. But before that, I want to start the sustainable development goals also, which is extremely important, right? So let's discuss that. There's a part in your syllabus which is talking about only sustainable development part. Have you seen that biodiversity and sustainable development? The sustainable development which is written over here, that is what I am covering right now. Sustainable use of land, all of this which it will be covered in this part, okay? Just see your syllabus once. Just look at your syllabus once. Okay, welcome, Soumya. Now write down the heading, sustainable development. So we will talk about a lot of things in sustainable development. We'll talk about the agriculture, sustainable agriculture. We'll talk about eco-friendly farming practices, green revolution, sustainable management, sustainable development, and of the forest resources. All of these we will do. But first thing first, we're going to talk about the sustainable development, from where the idea has been fetched from. What is the genesis of this idea, right? So write down sustainable development. Write down the heading sustainable development. Write down sustainable development. Keep. So what is the concept of sustainable development? It is like you are satisfying the personal needs of the present generation, which also keeping in mind the future generations का need. It's simple. This is what we have been studying for a very long time. क्या मतलब है आपका sustainable development से that we are going to use the resources which are present in today's generation, keeping in view that these resources will also be equally needed by the future generation as well. ऐसा तो है नहीं that water is a dire need for the people in today's generation. It won't be in the future generation. We know the basic things. We know that these basic things are going to be the need of every generation. It's going to be the dire need for every generation. Then why not to protect it from the stage itself? We have to act responsible. It is this generation who has to act responsibly so that future generation can also get whatever we have got so peacefully, right? You get water, you get resources, you get coal, everything which is present in the world, you get nicely. Why? Because the generation before us have tried to preserve it in a way. They have not used it recklessly. So there has to be some kind of balance which has to be maintained so that all the generations which are going to come in the next time, that what they are going to understand, they're going to get all of these very easily. That at the same time, they don't have to fight for it. They don't have to long for it. That is the whole idea of sustainable development. Okay. So what are the objectives? Write down the objectives of sustainable development first. Write down the objectives of sustainable development. The first objective of sustainable development is to give, write down, giving higher priority to the needs of poor people. First point, giving higher priority to the needs of poor people of the world. To giving higher priority to the needs of poor people of the world. Next point, enhancing environmental carrying capacity. Now, what is this term used for and why it is important? Yeah, environmental carrying capacity means how much your environment can sustain. Your environment means what? This earth. How many people it can sustain. The resources, the needs of how many people it can sustain in a year. That is known as environmental carrying capacity. Okay. So enhancing the environmental carrying capacity to meet the needs of both present, to meet the need of both present and future generation. To meet the need of both present and future generation. Next, write down. Present and future generation. Next, लिखिए. Comma, considering the social limits and limits of social institution. Considering the social limits and limits of social institution. Write down the key development of write down sustainable development is the key development of write down the key components of sustainable development is, please change the statement. It is key components of, write down key components of sustainable development. Key components of sustainable development are, first point, write down, देखिए, environment. Second, economy. The first component is environment. Second is economy. And third is planet. Environment और planet एक ही बात. Environment, planet. आप इसको points में भी लिख सकते. You can write in a flow chart, etc. Also. I'm writing like this. You can write in a different way also. Write down environment, economy, and society. Environment, economy, and society. Instead of society, you can write people too. क्या मतलब है इसका? Please understand these parts. Environment, economy, and people means what? All of these are extremely important, right? Okay. Whenever we talk about an environment, what are we going to talk about? That how much this planet has the capacity to sustain the people. For example, if we try to use double the coal that we are using at today's time, for example, I'm just giving hypothetical example to you. So do you think that the pace at which we are going, we will be able to satisfy the need of the future generation? Possibly not, right? If we try to minimize the use of the resources, definitely we can preserve some for them. Okay. Similar way, economy also matters. Why economy is important? Because see, nobody is stopping you from using the resources. Everybody knows the more the resources you will use, the more money you will make. Agriculture is a use of the resource. What resource of the planet we are using? Soil. Soil पे ही agriculture हो रहा है. Crops उसी पे ही आ रही है. Any sort of crop you're exporting and you're getting the money. Your revenue you're drawing from there. Anything, coffee, tea, plant, any sort of sugar cane, etc. Everything has been derived from the, it's a primary producer, right? So everything is derived from the earth. Okay. So economy you're going to fetch, but the point is you have to maintain the balance. They are not saying that use it at such a high level, at such an extreme level that you're not left with any in the future time. In the coming time, you're not left with any of these. They are not saying that you should use all of this at one time recklessly. You should maintain a balance of it. That is what has been asked from you. Okay. Next is society. So people also benefiting out of this, all of the resources which are present around you, right? So as a society, we are taking all the kind of advantages from it, and at the same time, we are also giving it back. See, we are not only taking from the society, we are giving it back too. In what sense? We are protecting it. We are a part of, who is a part of the organic material? We, humans or living species, any of it are the part of the organic matter, which is acting as a manure for them. Okay, so this is a cycle that we are sustaining. So write down origin of the concept of sustainable development. From where the concept have developed? Write down origin of the concept of sustainable development. Okay. The basic concept indirectly began in 1960. The basic concept of sustainable development began in 1960. It began in 1960, right on. When Rachel Carson, write in the spelling RACHEL. Well, Rachel Carson published her book, The Silent Spring. Rachel Carson published her book, Silent Spring. She published her book called Silent Spring, right now, in 1962. In 1962, full stop. This publication raised public awareness. This publication raised public awareness about destruction of wildlife. This publication raised public awareness about destruction of wildlife due to the use of DDT. We have talked enough about DDT, right? We had enough of discussion about DDT, that why the DDT has been used, what is happening because of the use of DDT. So the first publication raised a public awareness. This first publication raised a public awareness about destruction of wildlife due to DDT. Remember from the pollution class that how well we have discussed DDT in detail. Next slide down. In 1969, the organization Friends of the Earth was established. Second point. In 1969, organization of in 1969, organization of Friends of the Earth was established. Organization of Friends of Earth was established. Earth was established. Right on. Full stop. The goal of this organization was to protect the environment. Full stop. The goal of this organization was to protect the environment from degradation, and to identify industrial impacts and to identify industrial impact. What was the role? The organization, the Friends of the Earth, please see if you have written right, Friends of the Earth was established. The goal of this organization was to protect the environment from degradation and identify the industrial impacts. Right on next. In 1972, there are different developments of different time which I'm telling you. You can use it as a data in your means answer writing. Right on. In 1972, a group of young scientists published. In 1972, a group of young scientists published Limits to Growth. Now, limits to growth is going to be a very important topic in the coming part of geography optional. Limits to growth. Right on. A group of young scientists published Limits to Growth, which explain limitation of development, which explain limitation of development. There's a book actually. It's a very, if you go and search about the limits to growth, it's a book written. It's a very voluminous book. It's quite thick. So don't even try to read it. The only thing you can go through is some of the synopsis of this so that you can have an idea what is this, because this limits to growth is a question also in UPSC PYQ. This optional, right? Geography option का question भी आ चुका है. What do you understand by limits to growth? So write down. A group of young scientists, the club, published the Limits to Growth, which explain limitation of development. Next slide down. There has been development. What development? Stockholm Conference. I talked about the Stockholm Conference. Remember 1972, wherein we have discussed, all the countries have got together, representative of all the countries came together in order to discuss one common thing, one common issue, which was your climate change. At that point of time, no robust action was taken after this. It was first informal discussion which was done. But later on in 1992, we came up with the idea of UNFCCC. Okay, so write down another thing, origin of the concept. We are just developing how we got to the origin of the concept, right? So these are the developments. These are the developments which we can place before the establishment of sustainable development. Write down Stockholm Conference. Stockholm Conference. देखिए Stockholm Conference. It happened in 1972. Where Stockholm, it's in Sweden. Write down the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment. Write down the full form. United Nations Conference on the Human Environment. United Nations Conference on Human environment. United Nations Conference on Human Environment related to the human environment was held from June 5 to June 16 in Stockholm City. Was held from June 5 to June 16 in Stockholm City, full stop. For the first time in the world, comma, for the first time in the world, comma, the human development was recognized. For the first time in the world, comma, human development was recognized as a key aspect of this conference. For the first time, human development was recognized as the key aspect of this conference. And the first world conference to make, this was the first world conference to make environment a major issue. It's the first conference to make environment a major issue. Full stop. During this conference, United Nations Environment Program was launched. During this conference, okay. So write down. During this conference, the United Nations Environment Program was launched. इस conference में क्या discuss हुआ था? United Nations Environment Program. Write down next. In 1983, finally we are coming close to the establishment of sustainable development now. In 1983, the United Nations formed the World Commission. In 1983, please write down the date as well, it's important. In 1983, write down. In 1983, United Nations formed the World Commission on Environment. The World Commission of Environment. Write down. And Development. And Development. They formed the World Commission of Environment and Development. Write down. First of this commission is known as Brundtland Commission. This commission is known as Brundtland Commission. This commission is known as Brundtland Commission. एक वर्ल्ड कमीशन बनाया, उसका नाम क्या लिखा? लखा ब्रंटलैंड कमीशन. व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड? द वर्ल्ड कमीशन ऑन एनवायरनमेंट एंड डेवलपमेंट. कमीशन आप क्यों बनाते हैं? द आइडिया ऑफ फॉर्मिंग अ कमीशन इज that people come together and they research on certain topic. They do discuss that what should be the next steps. When the certain issue become very important, it becomes the highlight. Then what do? You make a committee so that you can come out with the solutions. You can come out with the more better ideas that how you have to mitigate this problem, how you have to get through this. So similarly, the World Commission was formed on environment and development, और commission का नाम क्या रखा गया? Brundtland Commission. Lot of time in environment also when you study this, in GS also, there has been a mentioning of this. In the previous year question also, you will see a lot of details of this, right? So this has been asked lot many times. Write down. And it was named after the chairperson, and it was named after the chairperson, GRO, Grow. It was named after the chairperson, Grow Harlem Brundtland. Harlem, Grow Harlem Brundtland. It was named after the chairperson, Grow Harlem Brundtland. Okay, write down. In 1987, 1983 में form हुआ, 1987 में उन्होंने report publish करी. What report they have published? Write down. In 1987, write down. In 1987, Commission submitted a report, Our Common Future. Commission submitted a report, Our Common Future. They submitted a report. What report? Our Common Future. Write down. It was strongly influenced by environmental disasters. It was strongly influenced by environmental disasters. And Commission, how they define the sustainable development? Write down. Commission defined sustainable development as, and the Commission defined sustainable development as Commission defined sustainable development as, write down, meeting the needs of the present, meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation, without compromising the ability of without compromising the ability of future generation, without compromising. Write down again. I'm repeating again. The reports provided, write down, the Commission defined sustainable development as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. To meet their own needs. To meet their own needs. That's it in the development. How we came to the idea of sustainable development. Now, apart from that, there is a very important thing that I want to discuss, without which I think the whole thing is not complete. You talk about the sustainable development goals. So from where the idea has been developed. So the point is, sustainable development goals it cater to the various sectors, various segments of the life. For example, it caters to the clean drinking water, it caters to the infrastructure, it caters to the better environment, then it caters to the education, poverty, hunger, it caters to the basic income that should be there of each individual, then the marine ecosystem, life on earth, life on the land. All of these has been catered by the different goals. Now SDG 13, for example, talks about the change, climate change. The SDG 14 talks about the marine ecosystem. So we have divided all these SDG, which you call it as Sustainable Development Goal. From where the idea has come, it is a UNESCO's Sustainable Development Goal, which talk about yes, okay. So which talk about what? It talks about the different SDGs are important. Now this SDG is more important. Why? Because देखिए, अगर हम 13 नंबर की बात करें, for example UN SDG, we talk about goal number 13. So goal number 13 says that the climate change, we have already seen that how UNFCCC has done the various COPs. So various COPs आपने सब कुछ पढ़ा है मेरे साथ in the previous section. If I talk about that how we are catering to SDG 13, which is your climate change. So you can simply write on it that there has been various measures which has been taken. For example, we have catered to it in COP21, which is your Paris Agreement, in which we have already talked about that we will be reducing the temperatures to 2 degrees Celsius. Right, your global warming, your temperature increase in the temperature would be bring down to 2 degrees Celsius. That we have already discussed in COP21. Then what next? In COP21, 26, we have discussed about the methane pledge. We have discussed about methane pledge. This all we have done. Then in COP27, we are talking about loss and damage fund. We are talking about global stock take. और ये सब क्यों कर रहे हैं हम? Why we are doing all of these? We are doing all of these because we have a common goal that we have to reduce. How much? This is a bigger goal which has been taken, that we have to come to the net zero carbon. India mission है that they will come to the net zero carbon by 2070. There are different countries also which have taken their own national determined contributions. उन्होंने खुद का एक aim लिया है, खुद का एक goal लिया है. In order to achieve those bigger goals, we have to complete the smaller goals which we have taken in the Paris Agreement. So SDG 13 को collectively कौन cater कर रहा है? All the missions, all the targets that we have taken collectively in particular convention or particular agreement. Similarly, अगर हम SDG 14 की बात करें, 14 में they are talking about that we have to protect the marine environment. We have to protect the ecosystem, right? Marine aquatic ecosystem. So do we have the agreements? Do we have the convention related to this? Yes. For example, N clause. Protection is required. BDNJ. Biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction. All of this is what they are protecting SDG 14. Talk about the life on the earth. Yes. SDG 15. What it is talking about, that we have to protect life on the earth. Earth basically land. Because earth को इन्होंने दो parts में divide किया. One is for the ocean, other one is for the land, for the territory. So land पे जो life है उसको भी protect करना है. So similarly, you are having the SDG for education, for the poverty, for the hunger. So all of these are being catered through different conventions, to different schemes, to different agreements, and this has been addressed. And we are aiming for what? We have to bring it to zero hunger, zero poverty. मतलब कोई भी दुनिया में कोई भी एक ऐसा इंसान नहीं बचे which is battling with the problem of hunger, which is battling with the problem of poverty. They all should have at least basic minimum with them so that they can live their life in a decent way, in a dignified way. This is what we are aiming for. These are the SDG goals. An important 17 SDG goals we are having, which have been on and off been asked in the UPSC. Mains may definitely, UPSC optional maybe, and also in the mains, every year you get at least 2 questions from the development goal. और अगर नहीं भी आपको पूछा गया है, वैसे आता ही है. If you check the previous year papers, you will get indirectly or directly the question from the SDG. और अगर नहीं भी पूछा जाता है, then definitely you need the SDG का information to put it in your intro or in your conclusion. कहीं भी आपको लगता है कि there is a lack of the content, you think that you can support well here through the SDG, then you should use that. SDG is one of the, in fact, the best intro you can write, you can start with. Okay? So, write down. Okay. Write down all the high level forums meeting that have happened for the SDG. पहले लिख लीजिए. Write down high level political forum on SDG development. क्या क्या मीटिंग हुआ है आपका on sustainable development? Write down high level political development on SDG. Write down high level political forum on sustainable development. High level political forum, high level political development. You have political forum development. High level political forum on sustainable development. Write down the establishment date. देखिए, by the Rio +20 conference in 2012. By the Rio +20 conference. By the Rio 20+ conference. By the Rio 20+ conference in 2012. Through the outcome document, through the outcome document, the future we want. By the outcome document, the future we want, full stop. Write down the purpose. Write down the purpose. Central UN platform. Write down the purpose. Central UN platform. Central UN platform to review and follow up. Central UN platform to review and follow up. Write down Central UN platform to review and follow up on 2030 agenda. On 2030 agenda and sustainable development goals. On sustainable development goal. What do you understand by all this? It means Central UN platform to review. Central UN platform क्या करेगा? Review करेगा और follow करेगा what? To review and follow up on the sustainable development goal. That means they will see that, for example, if I have set up a target from here, that this particular hunger, that for example, your first one, which is saying that no hunger, no poverty, etc. Then from this timeline, from the starting point here, we'll see that whether it has to be, how much time it will take. Although we have set the timeline for that, we have to achieve by this time period. But we also need the assessment. We also need to assess that whether how much performance has been done in this particular area. Okay. So write down Central UN platform to review and follow up on 2030 agenda and sustainable development goal. Write down. Next point. Next पे आ जाइए. Write down the bigger heading sustainable development goal. अब लिखिए sustainable development goal. It is a set of 17. It is a set of 17 global goals. Sustainable development goals. Write down. It is a set of 17. It is a set of 17 global goals adopted by United Nations member state. 17 development goals adopted by United Nations. 17 development goals adopted by United Nations member states in 2015. Adopted by United Nations member states in 2015. As a part of 2030 agenda, as a part of 2030 agenda for sustainable development, as a part of 2030 agenda for sustainable development. Right. Next, they aim to end poverty. They aim to end poverty, comma, protect the planet, and ensure peace and prosperity for all. It ensures peace and prosperity for all. Write down the background of SDG. अब लिखिए background. Write down the background of SDG. First point लिखिए. Agenda 21, 1992. Agenda 21, 1992. लिखिए. At the Earth Summit in Rio. At the Earth Summit in Rio, 178 countries adopted. 178 countries adopted. 178 countries adopted, right on. Agenda 21. Put a hyphen. Action plan for sustainable development. Action plan for sustainable development. Action plan for sustainable development. How many countries? 178 countries adopted action plan for sustainable development. Right. Next. Next, write down. List of 17 SDGs. List of 17 SDGs, and make sure you're using it all the intros or conclusion wherever you're getting. Write down. List of 17 SDG लिखिए. First is no poverty. End poverty in all forms every year. पहला है SDG 1, which says no poverty. SDG 1, which says no poverty. Write down. End poverty in all forms everywhere. See, SDG अगर आप खोल के देखेंगे in UNDP का साइट, there's a UNDP का साइट पे आपको सारे SDG मिल जाएंगे. And if you will go through all the SDG points, 1, 2, 3, 4, point is that in this first, which is seem to be very simple, it's because of no poverty. There are different points under it. For example, 1.1 objective, 1.2 objective, 1.3, like that you have many objectives under that. So you need not to go through all of them, but yes, एक बार आप site पे जाके देखिए कि how they have written it, how they have mentioned all of these SDGs. Why it is important? Just because, not only poverty, because poverty has a lot of things, right? They could be talking about the food security. They could be talking about a lot of things under that. So you can just pick them and you can see how well they have written all the things. Okay. Similarly, hunger. For the no hunger, which is your SDG number 2. There also we have many objectives in that. Right. So आप लिख लीजिए. Second SDG 2, which is your zero hunger. SDG 2, which is your zero hunger. And what does it say? Zero hunger. And what does it say? Write down. End hunger, comma, achieve food security. End hunger, comma, achieve food security. End hunger, comma, achieve food security. And improve nutrition. And promote sustainable agriculture. And promote sustainable agriculture. Right? Next point. SDG 3. SDG 3. Few of them I will write, few of them you will write on your own in the class itself. Okay? SDG 3, I'll make you write few, right? Rest of them you will do on your own. Write down. Good health and well-being. Write down. Good health and well-being. Write down good health and well-being. It ensures healthy life and promote well-being. It ensures healthy life and promote well-being for all. It promotes healthy life and promote well-being for all at all ages. At all ages. Next, quality education. Quality education, which is your goal number 5. Quality education. Achieve gender equality. And there's a very interesting thing. In one of the practice paper of prelims, not I'm talking about PYQ, I'm talking about the practice paper of prelims. I've even seen somebody asking the signs which have been mentioned. Have you seen? When I give you this activity to write rest of it, you can go and search. You can go to the website itself and you can search there. They have mentioned the sign. For example, for the no poverty, they have mentioned many people like this. So what happened in one of the questions, in the statement form, it was written that this particular SDG, basically hunger or poverty, is representing, the symbol represents this. The symbols of this on the website represent this. That is what I'm elaborating, but it was not written on the website. So it says that UN SDG development goal number this is represented through the people in the symbol. So that was the assignment of the mock test. Basically, the question was in the mock test where I've seen this thing. So many times, even through the pictures, the question might come, right? These are very simple things, and people do not even think that the questions from here can come. But yes, you should definitely look in the images as well, okay? Because there have been many instances where I have seen the question coming from these pictures, okay? Now write down gender equality, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Write down now SDG 6. SDG 6. Write down. SDG 6 लिखिए. Clean water and sanitation. Clean water and sanitation. Clean water and sanitation लिखिए. SDG 6. Ensure availability and sustainable management. Ensure availability and sustainable management. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Of water and sanitation for all. Next, goal number 7, which is your affordable and clean energy. Goal number 7, affordable and clean energy. Do you think it's affordable nowadays to have energy? First of all, forget about clean energy. These days, the kind of a situation which is going around in the geopolitical scenario, I don't think that it is possible to get the energy itself. Because what is happening these days is that you already know that how Strait of Hormuz has been obstructed, and seeing that problem, I don't know how much it can accelerate. But yes, these days energy conservation, energy availability is one of the important issue. It's one of the important thing that people are worrying about, right? So affordable and clean energy, and from this point of view only, see, this Strait of Hormuz has been obstructed by Iran because of a lot of issues. Maybe they have the internal, because of internal matters, there could be many things, right? So the point is, now you have to understand that the world needs to now pivot. The country needs to pivot. You can no longer depend upon one source of energy always. Still, we are dependent on 54% of our energy are still, we are getting it from the thermal power plant. 54%. Despite of the fact we have contributed so much, we have achieved so much in the renewable sources of energy, but still 54%, which is more than half. So definitely, and with respect to the vehicles, how much transition have we seen to the electric vehicles? Negligible. How many of us, from us, you have been seeing to buying the electric vehicles? Negligible. Despite of the fact they are giving subsidies, or there is a rebate on the tax also, I have heard. But the point is, the moment you will not understand that when the people will comply, when the people will not adopt all of these things in their lifestyle, it is not going to happen. It's going to be a very far dream of the people to go to the electric vehicle adoption. So the point is to have that idea that people adopt the electric vehicle. You need to make the system robust. How you make the system robust? कैसे बनाएंगे robust? By giving them the trust. कैसे बनाएंगे? कैसे देंगे trust? What is happening with electric vehicle these days? Electric vehicle चल नहीं रहा है. No charging point. Infrastructure not given. The batteries are dying. The batteries के अंदर there is a fire catching up. All of these issues are creating a lot of apprehension in the people. They are intimidated by using the electric vehicles. चाहे आप उनको फिर कितना भी rebate दे दें, कितना भी incentive दे दें, whatever you give to them, they're not going to buy that idea of yours. So the point is, first you need to give them trust, and then only they will be able to buy the electric vehicle. You're not having a charging point. How many of you will be actually willing to buy the electric vehicles? None of us. So the point is, you need to know first that how you have to adopt the things in your life. आप किसी को ऐसे adopt करा देंगे, full adoption किस basis पे? 100% adoption of electric vehicle, but on what basis? Somebody is not going to put their life at the risk just because they want to go with the idea of clean environment. They will say, first I have to protect myself, then I'll see about the clean environment. So the idea is that one need to understand these things. So it looks very fancy on the papers, it looks very easy on the papers, but the challenges are, there's humongous challenges which are present in front of us when you talk about the adoption, when you talk about the electric vehicle adoption. Or for that matter, you talk about the renewable sources of energy in our daily lives. How many of you are having the solar panels on the roof? Unless your builder or unless your the real estate has got that built already. So the point again is boiling down. Again, this boils from the point that we need to understand. Even the government needs to understand what people want. Okay. So this idea is that these days we have been running after that we have to conserve the fuel. Why? Because there's a scarcity, there's a shortage of the fuel, which probably we are going to face in the coming years. Reason being, because obviously we know this, the conditional state of hormones, it can aggravate at any time. And then we have to the fallback option for us to only the reserves that we are having right now, oil reserves I'm talking about. So, and next is, even if it gets more, it gets more and more costlier, then we have to we have to use our reserves, your dollars, forex reserves I'm talking about. So these we have to use in order to buy more and more, because maximum dependency of India is through the imports. So if we would have not been dependent on the imports, आज की scenario के बारे में बात करें, if you would not have been dependent on the imports, we would have switched, we would have pivoted to the renewable sources of energy. तो हमें कोई चिंता नहीं थी. We would not have any sort of problem with whatever going around the world. This first thing is what it shows, the interdependence. So we have to get out of this interdependence thing first of all. We're so much interdependent on other sources of energy. We are dependent on the oil, etc. That अभी हमें क्या लग रहा है कि अगर ये नहीं हुआ तो फिर what will happen? तभी तो हम कह रहे हैं we should take measures. And from this scenario, we should also learn that what next steps we have to take in the coming future. Right? Okay. Now write down 8th SDG goal is decent work and economic growth. Write down SDG 8 goal, which is decent work and economic growth. First is promote sustained. The first idea is promote sustained, inclusive, promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, full and productive employment, and decent work for all, and decent work for all. Now start writing from SDG 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Just write the main headings, right? Just like I have given you the intro, one heading, and then I have given you a little description of it, just like you can also write. Also, look at the pointers. Okay? I'm giving you 5 minutes to write down all the sustainable development goals after number 8. Write down. welcome everyone. Shan, Soumya. Okay, good. So there is a current affair also on the basis of sustainable development. As you know that 10 years of the sustainable development, uh, 10 years of SDGs, India's progress we are going to see, right? So write down. UN Sustainable Development Goal completed 10 years. So when they adopted it, they adopted in 2015. The Sustainable Development Goal were adopted in 2015 and 2025, they completed 10 years. With that perspective also, this Sustainable Development Goal becomes important. Okay, so this is a part of your current affair. That was a static. So they can ask you that how Sustainable Development Goal, why it is important. ऐसे आप पता कर सकते हो कि कौन कौन सा topic important है. Sustainable Development Goal is definitely important from prelims point of view also and from the mains point of view this year. Okay, so write down UN Sustainable Development Goal completed. UN Sustainable Development Goal completed 10 years. They completed 10 years, write down, of adoption since 2015. Of adoption 2015, write down. About Sustainable Development Goal. अब next point पे लिखेंगे about Sustainable Development Goal. That you already know what are Sustainable Development Goal. You don't need any kind of information regarding this. Write down. Okay, global. Write down the global data now. Who is at the top? Write down global data. This is a recent one. You can use it. Finland ranked first with a score of 87. Finland ranked first. Finland ranked first with a score of 87. With a score of 87, comma, followed by Sweden and Denmark. Followed by Sweden and Denmark. Followed by Sweden and Denmark. Next point. Right on next point. On an average, East and South Asia, these are extremely important data points. Please box में रख लीजिए. Please write down. On an average, East and South Asia are shown. On an average, East and South Asia have shown fastest progress on SDG. On an average, East and South Asia have shown fastest progress since 2015. Since 2015. Next point. Only 17% of SDG targets are on track. सिर्फ देखिए टोटल अमाउंट में से टोटल आपके एसडीजी गोल में सिर्फ 17% ही कंप्लीट हो पाया है 2030 तक. सिर्फ 17% ही aligned है to be completed by 2030. So less we have contributed. Right now, only 17% of SDG targets are on track. Only 17% of SDG targets are on track. Only 17% of SDG targets are on track to be achieved by 2030. To be achieved by 2030. Write down. SDG 1 and 10 are on track. SDG 1 and 10 are on track. And SDG 13 is decreasing. SDG 1 and 10 are on track. What is SDG 1? Which is your no hunger, no poverty. Right? SDG 13 is your climate change. Okay? SDG 1 and 10 are on track and SDG 13 is decreasing. Right on next. Madam, there is a report also which is important to this, Madam. Sustainable Development Report 2025. Madam, what this report is saying? Sustainable Development Report 2025. Sustainable Development Report 2025, right down. It is released by SDG Transformation Center. It is released by SDG Transformation Center. It is released by SDG Transformation Center, comma, under Sustainable Development Solutions Network. Under Sustainable Development Solutions Network.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, you're not audible.
Soumya? Soumya, am I audible now? Hello, hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Right. So I was discussing the sustainable development goal which is there. Now there is a particular thing in your syllabus which is your sustainable development use. How you should go, in a way that you should sustainably use your land. Okay, particular topic. I should just repeat that topic from the syllabus, which says sustainable development and resource management. This is one. Then sustainable land use practices. That is two. Okay, they all are talking about the land. One, resource. Land is also one of the resource, right? Next. Okay, so these are talking about what? Sustainable use of land. So this particular topic has been mentioned, and therefore it's very important for me to discuss a particular convention, a particular agreement which has been done to combat the desertification. What is that? UNCCD. In UN, where, when, and how UNCCD has been adopted, similar. It's very similar to the UNCBD and UNFCCC. These are the three Rio conventions, right? Rio sisters, Rio. We call them as the Rio conventions, Rio sister, because all three have been taking place in the Rio summit. Now, UNCCD particularly is only convention on the degradation of the land. It's the first and the only convention on the degradation of the land, which talks about that you have to protect the land from getting barren, from getting arid. And if in case that has gone arid, then you have to restore it. This is what United Nations to combat the Convention to combat desertification, right? So it is United Nations Convention to combat desertification. It's initiative which has been taken for the sustainable land use practices. ठीक है, practices क्या क्या होनी चाहिए that we will further discuss, but this is the first part that you should know that sustainably, in order to use land, we do have a international convention present with us. Done? Okay. I'll make you write about this later on, not right now. Now, in this, there is another addition which has been there. There has been layer added to it. For example, the COP for meetings which keep on taking place, just like in UNFCCC, there is a meeting which takes place in this also. Then there is a very important convention of it. You call it as Kunming-Montreal Protocol. Now, this Kunming-Montreal Protocol is what? Kunming is a place in China, the Montreal is a place in the Canada. And this Kunming-Montreal Protocol is very important because it talks about that how you have to restore the land. It talks about 30 into 30, right? So what is this 30 into 30? We'll discuss that. So first, understand it talks about the restoration of the land. If the land will be restored, then only we will be able to do what? We'll be able to save the planet. अगर land restoration नहीं होगा तो क्या हो सकता है? What problems this can lead to? Soil erosion, very basic. Salinization of the soil can happen. Soil can turn arid. All of these could be some of the repercussions. Then they are acting as a natural aquifers, that will not happen. They are acting as a natural protective. For example, mangroves are acting as a natural protectors from storm. That will not happen. So all of these have certain utility present in the ecosystem. So in order to restore the land, what we need to do, we need to take some measures. And that measures we will categorize them under sustainable land use practices. Right? Okay. So your assignment for today is please write down an assignment. We will continue the topic tomorrow of sustainable development. Write down. Now this is the topic that you have to do on your own. Write down. The role of education. Write down. What is the role of education in promoting? What is the role of education in promoting environmental awareness and behavioral change Next question. First question I'm repeating again. State the role of education in promoting environmental awareness and behavioral change. Next, write down. State the importance of environmental education. State the importance of environmental education for sustainable development. This is exactly related to what we have studied today. Importance of environmental education for sustainable development. These are the two questions that you have to do. You can start framing it now, and if you want to do, you can practice at home. But please do practice these two questions, and these are directly from your syllabus. These are directly from your syllabus, and if you have any PYQ present on it, just do that too. Have you attempted this week's paper? How many of you have attempted this week's paper? Soumya, Ishan, Dhruv. How many of you have attempted this week's paper? If you have, so just let me know. And if you have not, then please do it. Do attempt, it's important. Not yet. Okay, no problem. But do see that, because that is a part third of the environment, the test which I have made, environmental geography, that is part third. And half the paper is completed. Good. You complete rest of it and submit it to me. Okay. Good. Okay. Thank you so much, class.